So this whole mess started about 3 years ago when I, 28F, got engaged to my now husband Alex, 30M. For context, my parents have always been pretty traditional and religious, while I've been the black sheep of the family. They didn't approve of me moving in with Alex before marriage, my career choice, tattoo artist, or basically any life decision I've made since I was 18. When Alex proposed, I was over the moon. We'd been together for 4 years, and he's seriously the most supportive, kind person I've ever known. I called my parents immediately to share the good news, expecting at least some enthusiasm. Instead, my mom sighed deeply and said, "Well, I guess we should meet his parents then." No congratulations, no excitement. My dad didn't even get on the phone. The engagement dinner was a disaster. My parents were cold and kept making passive-aggressive comments about Alex's job. He's a musician and music teacher, asking things like, "But what's your real career plan? And how will you provide for our daughter?" They barely touched the food and left early, claiming my mom had a headache. Over the next few months of wedding planning, they criticized everything. The venue, too casual. The date, not in their church. The guest list, too many of my alternative friends. When I told them we weren't having a religious ceremony, my mom actually cried and my dad said I was spitting in the face of how they raised me. 2 weeks before the wedding, I visited them to try one last time to make peace. I brought my wedding dress to show my mom, hoping it might soften her. It was vintage-inspired with some lace details I thought she might appreciate. She took one look at it and said, "That's what you're wearing? You'll look like one of those goth girls you hang out with." Something in me snapped. I told them that I was tired of never being good enough, that I was happy with Alex in my life, and if they couldn't be supportive, maybe they shouldn't come to the wedding at all. My dad stood up and said, "If that's how you feel, then fine. We won't be there." My mom just stared at her hands, saying nothing. I left in tears, but part of me still expected them to come around. They didn't. They didn't come to the wedding. Didn't call. Nothing. The ceremony was beautiful despite their absence. Alex's parents were incredibly supportive, and my sister came, though she told me our parents had forbidden her. My friends rallied around me, and honestly, it was perfect except for the 2 empty seats in the front row. After the wedding, I tried calling them several times. No answer. I sent emails. Nothing. After about 6 months, I stopped trying. I figured they had made their choice. And then yesterday, after 3 years of complete silence, I got a text from my mom. "We need to talk. Can we meet?" I'm sitting here staring at my phone, completely lost. What do I even say to them after all this time? I decided to meet them. I suggested a coffee shop near my workplace, neutral territory where I could leave easily if things went south. My mom texted back immediately agreeing to the time and place. That was yesterday. I arrived early and snagged a corner table, my stomach in knots. When they walked in, I almost didn't recognize them. My dad's hair had gone completely gray, and my mom looked thinner, older. They spotted me and hesitated before approaching, like they were afraid I might bolt. The first few minutes were agonizingly awkward. My mom commented on my hair. I've gone purple since I last saw them, and my dad just stared into his coffee. Finally, my mom cleared her throat and said, "We've made a terrible mistake." What followed was something I never thought I'd hear. My dad, the stoic man who never apologized for anything in his life, started crying. Actually crying in public. He said cutting me off was the biggest regret of his life. My mom reached for my hand, which I instinctively pulled away. She flinched but didn't push it. They explained that after our fight, pride kept them from calling before the wedding. Then shame kept them away afterward. My dad admitted that our church pastor had reinforced their decision, telling them they were right to stand firm against sin. But 3 months ago, my sister had her first baby, my nephew Oliver, and apparently, becoming grandparents triggered something. "Holding Oliver made us realize what we've thrown away," my mom said. "We've missed 3 years of your life. We don't want to miss any more." My dad added that they've started seeing a new pastor at a different church, one who preaches acceptance and love rather than judgment. He said they've been doing a lot of soul-searching. I sat there in shock, tears streaming down my face despite my best efforts to keep it together. Part of me wanted to forgive them on the spot, to hug them and make up for lost time. Another part remembered the empty chairs at my wedding, the unreturned calls, the 3 years of silence during which they missed so much, my promotion to shop manager, our buying our first house, Alex's band getting signed to a small label. I told them I needed time to think, that I couldn't just pretend the last 3 years hadn't happened, that they had hurt me in ways I'm still processing. My dad nodded and said they understood, that they'd wait as long as I needed. My mom slid an envelope across the table. Inside was a card with their new address, phone numbers, and email addresses. "Whenever you're ready," she said. "If you're ready." We parted awkwardly, no hugs, just nods and teary eyes. I watched them walk away, my emotions a complete mess. Now I'm home, staring at that envelope, completely torn. Alex says it's my decision, and he'll support me either way. My sister called and confirmed their story about the baby changing their perspective, saying they've been talking about reaching out to me for months. So Reddit, what do I do? Do I give them another chance? How do I protect myself if I do? Am I an idiot for even considering it? I texted my mom and suggested we start with weekly family dinners, but with boundaries. I made it clear that I wasn't ready to just pick up where we left off, that trust needed to be rebuilt. She responded within minutes, saying they would accept any terms if it meant having me back in their lives. Our first dinner was at my house 2 weeks ago. I wanted them to see the life Alex and I have built, to understand who I am now. It was tense at first. My dad kept looking around at my artwork and tattoo designs on the walls, clearly trying to find something complimentary to say. Alex was polite but protective, staying close to me throughout the evening. The real turning point came when my dad asked to see photos from our wedding. I was shocked. They had never even asked about it before. I pulled out our album, and as we went through it, my mom started sobbing at a photo of Alex's parents walking me down the aisle. They had offered when they learned my parents weren't coming. "We should have been there," my dad said quietly. "We were wrong. So wrong." After that, something shifted. We started talking, really talking. I told them how their rejection had affected me, the nights I cried wondering what was so unlovable about me. They listened without interrupting, without defending themselves. My dad told me about his own strict upbringing, how his father had disowned his sister for marrying outside the faith, and how he had promised himself he'd never be that way. "And then I became exactly what I hated," he admitted. "These past 2 months haven't been perfect. We've had some uncomfortable moments, like when my mom asked if we were planning to have children raised in faith. But instead of letting it destroy our fragile peace, I explained my views calmly, and surprisingly, she listened. Last weekend was the big test. They invited us to their home to meet my nephew. Walking into my childhood home felt surreal. They had updated some things, but my old room was untouched. My mom had kept it exactly as I left it, down to the concert tickets pinned to the bulletin board. Seeing them with Oliver was revealing. They're different grandparents than they were parents, softer, more accepting. My dad even complimented Alex on his patience with the baby, a sincere moment that meant the world to my husband. Before we left, my mom gave me a box. Inside was my grandmother's jewelry, including her wedding ring. "She would have wanted you to have this," my mom said. "She always liked that you spoke your mind." I'm not saying everything is fixed. 3 years of silence isn't erased in 2 months. My therapist says rebuilding trust is like building a house. It takes time, patience, and the right materials. But we're laying the foundation. To everyone who advised caution but openness, you were right. People can change. Not always, not completely, but sometimes just enough. And sometimes, family is worth the work. To those who shared similar stories of estrangement and reconciliation, thank you. Your experiences guided me through this uncharted territory. I don't know what the future holds with my parents, but I'm cautiously optimistic. And whatever happens, I know I'll be okay. I have Alex, my friends, and now all of you.